What's bigger than a big boy? How about two? That's right, we've got two massive LionMaster engines to review and compare today. I suppose since they are semi-scale, the only thing bigger would actually be their scale counterparts. But around these curves and these switch yards, you'll want one of these. So the question is, which one do you get? Because both of these big boys are LionMaster models, and for the most part, they use the exact exterior parts and designs, which is great because there's a good amount of detail on these. But number 4006 is a legacy LionMaster released in 2008, while number 4014 is a LionChief Plus 2.0 released in 2019. In that decade-wide gap, a number of things have changed under the skin, and we're going to break down everything to try and figure out if there's a clear winner. Before we dive in, here's some quick info on these. Both 4006 and 4014 were rolled out by Alco in 1941 as part of the first batch sent to the Union Pacific. During their service hauling freight over the steepest grades of the line in Wyoming and Utah, these both racked up an impressive amount of miles during their careers. And while 4014 is famous for later on being restored and running excursion trains these days, 4006 was also saved from the scrapper's torch and resides in St. Louis at the National Museum of Transportation. Also, slight bragging rights to 4006 as it covered more miles in revenue service than any other big boy by clocking in 1,064,625 miles before it was placed in storage in 1957. It was officially retired and subsequently donated in 1961. Since we're still talking about 4006, let's just switch tracks to the model version. Released with the first wave of Lionel LionMaster Big Boys in 2008, this one had legacy command control included with it, which came with an impressive host of features. A wireless tether, rear electrocoupler, lit signals at the front and rear, a cab light with flickering firebox, and that buttery smooth Odyssey 2 speed control. The sounds are probably the most impressive part of this one, since it not only has a realistic 8-chuff that articulated engines would have had, it also has road number specific crew talk and tower comm features. I especially like this feature because the engineer starts to sound a little irritated the longer the dispatcher holds him. Sometimes I think he holds him out of spite.
This is UP 4006. Can we move yet? Over. UP 4006. Hold for signal indication. Over.
Like the newer LionChief version I'll cover in a moment, these beasts feature 6 traction tires, 2 on the rear set of drivers, and 4 more on the front set of drivers. So these things will easily haul long freight trains just like they would have back in the 40s and 50s. A coupler on a car will fail long before Big Boy gives up on a 5-mile-long stretch of wartime hype freight. When we move over to the newer 4014 offering, we switch gears to LionChief Plus 2.0. But don't let that name fool you. Sometimes LionChief kind of gets a bad rap. This thing brings so many control options to the table, it can really get enjoyed with just about anything. Conventional, TMCC, legacy, a universal remote, the Bluetooth app. This thing can use anything, which makes it super versatile. It also means my young son can easily control it from his remote, unlike this older 4006 Big Boy, which I control with my older Cab 1 remote. He's pretty much claimed 4014 for his own at this point. There's more improvements with the newer LC2 version as well. The light up front goes to a brighter LED as opposed to the weaker halogen light the legacy offering comes with. Plus, the lights on the tender have a much more intricate tooling, the same that can be seen on the 2015 release of the LionMaster Challengers, which I love. Speaking of the tender, it retains the electrocoupler, but does away with the wireless tether for a more traditional LionChief plug. It's still got a firm hold and does fine, but I noticed the gap between the cab and the tender is actually shorter than it is on the legacy version with the wireless tether. Still, no problems with clearance, especially around tighter turns that these LionMaster engines were made for. So it does make the legacy version seem a bit too cautious. I like the look of them being closer together and a little tighter. It also has better smoke output, and the whistle on this thing sounds absolutely amazing. I don't have the ability to quill the whistles with my control system here, so it's not quite helping the older Legacy's case, but side by side, the newer one just sounds so good. With all of the improvements on the 4014, it can sound like the LionChief version is running away with it. However, there are still a few things I like better on the older Legacy version. For starters, the LionChief version just uses generic sounds that we've heard 1,000 times with Mr. Lionel at the helm. I much prefer the road number specific dialogue of 4006. The chuff is also more standard sounding than the uneven articulated sounds from the Legacy version. The other odd thing that I didn't even realize until I had them next to each other was the lettering. On every Union Pacific engine I have, there's simple white paint for all of the lettering, but on the 2019 LionChief release, it's bright silver. It looks good, don't get me wrong, but it's also just strange to see black and white engines all over the secondhand overland, and then suddenly, silver. The color on the smokebox and firebox are just a brighter version too. I suppose this does help things stand out between this one and my 4006. If you haven't already noticed from some of the footage, I've been doing some work to 4014 to help differentiate it from our 4006 unit. I'll keep working on making it more like the restored version, but for now, it's still not hard to tell these two apart until you blast the whistle. That does bring me back to the original question I had, and one that I had hoped I would be able to answer for myself by the time I was done with this review. Which one should you get? There's still no clear winner if you ask me. On paper, the LC2, the newer one, runs away with it with its host of features, but the more accurate colors and the dialogue on the Legacy version still tug at me. Both are sought after and not cheap to find on the secondhand market, but I will say it's easier to find a deal on the Legacy version than the LionChief version. I recommend both, and I'd say that if you've got any sort of TMCC or Legacy control on your line, you'll probably enjoy the older version with the better sounds and more accurate colors. If you're relying on remotes or need something that's more friendly with younger users, like my little engineer, the LC2 version is the best pick. We thoroughly enjoy running both of these together on the line, and it's fun to throw the passenger cars behind 4014 to make our own excursion runs. So which big boy is best for you? Leave us a comment and let us know which of these semi-scale Leviathans would grace your rails. It's so great being able to run engines with this kind of presence on a layout with tighter turns, so I'm very happy LionMaster tackled the proportions and features so well on these. They're a little bigger than the MTH offerings, but still not so big that they can't run around our tight turns. For anyone with a small layout and a taste for big steam, this lineup will have you smiling. They really ought to continue making these. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please leave us a comment down below, a like if you enjoyed this, and subscribe for more. Plus, I've linked a playlist of our other reviews here, so check those out if you haven't yet. We'll see you next time.
Want me to go slower? You gonna go faster?